So here's the deal. My wife, Rachel, and I have been married for about 6 years now. It's been a solid relationship, at least I thought so. We had our share of ups and downs, the usual stuff. Work stress, the occasional argument over stupid things, but nothing that really made me think things were off. We've always had a pretty good rhythm, especially when it comes to our morning routine. I wouldn't call us gym buffs, but we've always been active, mostly weekend hikes, some yoga here and there, and the occasional run to shake off the week. I've never been a long-distance runner, but Rachel, she's always loved it. I get a few miles in with her, just to show support, and call it a day. This Saturday, Rachel suggested we go for a run together. Nothing out of the ordinary, I thought. But that morning, I noticed something odd. She was acting a little distant. Normally, we'd joke around while lacing up our shoes, maybe talk about what we were going to eat after the run, because, let's face it, that's the best part of exercising. Instead, she was silent, focused on her phone. When I asked her if something was up, she just brushed it off with a nothing, just tired excuse. I didn't think much of it at the time, she had been working late a lot recently, but now, looking back, I can't help but wonder if that's when things started to unravel. So, we head out for the run. It's a cool Saturday morning, the kind where you can breathe in deep and the air doesn't choke you. The weather's perfect for a jog. We're a couple of miles into it when Rachel starts to pick up the pace, which, again, wasn't unusual. She's always been a faster runner than me, so I've learned to accept that. But today, it felt different. I was barely keeping up with her, and she wasn't slowing down for me at all. I kept trying to catch my breath while stealing glances at her form, the way she moved. I couldn't help but notice how she seemed so detached. Her face was calm, like she was in her own world. I don't know why, but it made me feel like an outsider in a way I hadn't felt before. I tried to talk to her a few times, make small talk about the weather, but she wasn't responding. Just giving me those half smiles or one-word answers. It felt like I was running with a stranger, not my wife. At that point, I should have known something was off. But I kept pushing myself, because, hell, I thought maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe she was just in the zone. That's how we both are when we run. I didn't want to admit it to myself, but I kept thinking, this is weird. We're about halfway through the run when Rachel suddenly slows down. It's like she hit a wall, which is weird because she had been killing it before. She pulls out her phone and starts typing something. At first, I think nothing of it. It's not unusual for her to check her messages mid-run, especially if she's meeting someone later. But then, the look on her face changed. The smile she made wasn't the usual "oh, look, I got a message" smile. It was something different. It was almost guilty? Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I swear I saw her look around like she was worried someone would catch her. She quickly pocketed the phone and kept running, but I could tell she was off. Her energy shifted. We kept running, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I'm not one to snoop, and I've always respected her privacy, but I couldn't help myself. I started thinking about the text. Who could it be? Why the weird expression? I tried to focus on my breathing, but my mind wouldn't let go of that nagging thought. At that point, the run was more about me battling my own head than actually enjoying the exercise. It felt like I was running towards something, but I didn't know what. About a mile from the park where we normally finish our runs, Rachel suddenly stops. I'm a few steps behind her, panting, and I don't know if it's because I'm out of shape or because something's off with her, but I slow down to join her. She's staring ahead, breathing a little heavier than usual. "You okay?" I ask. She gives me a quick, forced smile and says, "Yeah, just need a break." We stand there for a second, just catching our breath, but it feels like the silence between us is more than just physical exhaustion. I keep glancing at her, trying to make sense of what's going on. I want to ask about the text. I want to know who she was texting, but something stops me. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's a gut feeling telling me not to go there. And then, out of nowhere, she says, "I've been thinking about how things have been between us." My heart skips a beat. I don't know where this is going, but it doesn't sound good. I try to make a joke to lighten the mood, like we should run more often. But she doesn't laugh. Instead, she looks down, avoiding my eyes, and that's when I know something's seriously wrong. She continues, I don't know. I just feel like I've been so distant lately. And I don't know how to fix it. The air feels thick now. My mind's racing, but I can't get the words out. I feel a pit growing in my stomach, like I'm on the edge of a cliff, but I'm not ready to fall. For a moment, we just stand there. The world around us continues on, people jogging past, birds chirping, the faint hum of cars in the distance, but it feels like time has stopped. My heart is pounding in my chest, my brain is screaming at me to ask the right question, but I'm stuck. And then, she says it. I think I've been seeing someone else. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I can't even process them right away. For a second, I think I misheard her. Maybe she meant to say something else? Maybe she was talking about a friend or something casual, but no. She's looking at me with those sad eyes, and it's clear she wasn't joking. The air around me feels heavy. My hands start to shake. My throat goes dry. I want to scream, or run, or punch something, anything to make this moment stop, but I'm frozen. I feel like I'm drowning, but I can't even manage to make a sound. Rachel takes a step closer, but I step back. I need space. How long? I finally manage to rasp out. She looks down, her eyes filling with tears. A few months, she says, voice barely above a whisper. A few months. I feel like the ground has been pulled out from under me. All those little moments, her being distant, avoiding eye contact, her late nights at work, it's all starting to make sense now, but it doesn't help. It only hurts more. I don't know what to say next. Part of me wants to demand details, to understand everything, to confront this other person. But another part of me is just numb. This doesn't feel real. Rachel isn't the kind of person who would do this, right? But here we are. I look at her, and she's crying now, apologizing, but it doesn't make it better. In fact, the tears just make everything worse. I don't want her to be sorry. I want her to stop. To explain why this happened. To tell me it was a mistake. But that's not what happens. For what feels like an eternity, we stand there in silence. I'm not sure if it's the shock or the sheer weight of everything, but I can't find the words. I can't even process my own emotions. My mind is like a broken record, looping through the same thing over and over, a few months. Rachel's still crying, and she reaches for my arm, but I step back. I don't want to touch her. I don't want her to touch me. Every part of me is screaming, but all I can do is stand there, stunned, numb, broken. I'm so sorry, she says again, her voice shaky. I didn't want to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you. I shake my head. But you did, I whisper, barely recognizing my own voice. You did hurt me. She looks at me, and for a moment, I see her really see her. The guilt, the shame, the pain. It's all over her face, but it doesn't make me feel any better. If anything, it makes the pain worse. I want to scream at her. Ask how long it's been going on, why she never told me, why she lied. But I'm too tired. I'm too defeated. So instead, I turn around and start walking away, not knowing where I'm going, just needing to get away from her. She calls my name, but I don't stop. I don't look back. I don't know how long I walk, but when I finally stop, it's because my legs won't carry me any further. I collapse on a bench near the park, my head in my hands, and I can't hold it together anymore. The tears come then, hot, angry, overwhelming. I'm crying not just for the betrayal, but for the years I wasted believing we were something we weren't. And in that moment, all I can think is, how did I not see this coming? I don't know how much time passes after I sit down on that bench. It feels like hours, but it's probably just a few minutes. My chest is tight, my head spinning, and I feel like I can't breathe. Eventually, I pull myself together enough to check my phone. It's a message from Rachel. She's asking if we can talk. I don't want to talk to her. I don't know if I ever want to talk to her again. But I can't leave things like this. Maybe it's the last shred of dignity I have, or maybe I'm just trying to figure out what to do next. So, I call her back. When she answers, I can hear the relief in her voice. I'm so sorry, Stop, I say, cutting her off. My voice sounds flat, like I've used up all my emotions for the day. Just stop. There's a long pause on the other end. I can tell she's trying to figure out what to say next, but I don't give her the chance. Rachel, I don't even know what to say right now. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. You've destroyed everything. Her voice breaks as she says, please, don't say that. I didn't want this. But you did it, I say. You chose it. Every single time. I'm not angry anymore. Not really. Maybe I will be later, but right now, I just feel empty. Like I'm floating through space and there's nothing left to hold on to. I'm numb. Why? Why him? Why didn't you just talk to me? We could have worked through it, I say, my voice shaking. I don't know, she replies, sounding small. I don't know why I did it. I don't know. I was lost, and I wasn't thinking straight. I never meant to hurt you. The words are starting to blur together. I don't even know if I believe her anymore. I don't know if I care. All I know is that I'm standing at a crossroads, and I can't figure out which way to go. Maybe we need some space, I say. I just can't think right now. I'll talk to you later. And with that, I hang up. I spent the rest of the day just existing. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to be around Rachel. I didn't want to be around anyone. I found a quiet cafe, sat in the corner, and let the world happen around me. It felt like I was in a different reality. The life I had known, the life I thought we had, just didn't make sense anymore. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, trying to piece together what went wrong, why I couldn't see this coming. My mind wandered to all the times I had been blind to her emotional distance, those late nights at work, the quiet moments between us when we were together but not really together. I thought about the subtle changes in her behavior, the way she'd pull away when I reached for her, and I wondered if it had all been a sign that I had ignored because I didn't want to believe it. I called my best friend, Adam, later that afternoon. I didn't want to, but I needed to talk to someone who wasn't going to judge me. He picked up right away. Hey man, you alright? I don't know how to start, so I just blurted out. Rachel cheated on me. A few months. With someone else. There's a long pause on the other end of the line. Damn, man. I'm sorry. I don't even know what to say. You don't have to say anything, I mutter, feeling a mix of anger and exhaustion. I just don't know what to do. It's like everything I thought was real, wasn't. Adam doesn't have a magic answer. No one does. But he listens, and that's what I need right now. He talks me through it, reminding me that I'm not alone, even though it feels like I am. I'm not sure what good it does, but at least it gives me a chance to unload. After we hang up, I finally drag myself back home, and when I walk through the door, I don't feel relief. I feel like I'm walking into a stranger's house. Rachel's sitting on the couch, looking small and defeated. Her eyes are red from crying, and the moment I see her, I feel a pang of sadness for the woman she used to be, the woman I used to love. But that woman isn't here anymore. I'm sorry, she says, her voice so soft I can barely hear her. I don't respond at first. Instead, I just sit down on the other side of the room, keeping my distance. Neither of us knows what to say next. The silence between us feels heavier than anything I've ever experienced. We sit there for what feels like an eternity. The clock on the wall ticks louder than usual, each second stretching into the next, as if time itself is refusing to move forward. Rachel keeps looking at me, her eyes filled with regret, but I can't bring myself to look back at her. I don't want to see that look. Not now. I think about what comes next, but the truth is, I have no idea. I could leave right now, walk out the door, drive away, and never come back. But that doesn't seem like the right move either. What would that solve? Would it give me closure, or would it just leave me with more questions? I don't know how to fix this, she whispers. I'm still staring at the floor, my hands clenched into fists. I want to say something, anything, but I can't. My throat feels tight, like there's no room for words, just pain and anger and confusion. You're right, I finally say, my voice sounding foreign to me. You can't fix this. You've already broken it. She flinches at the words, but I don't care. They need to be said. I need her to know that there's no going back from this. The trust is gone. The foundation of everything we had is shattered, and no amount of apologies or explanations can put it back together. I never wanted to hurt you, she says again, her voice cracking. You did, I say, the anger rising in my chest, though it's not directed at her anymore. It's directed at me for being so blind, for letting things get this far without asking the right questions. For not listening to that gut feeling that told me something was off. You hurt me. And now, I don't know how to move forward from here. I stand up abruptly, pacing the room, feeling the tightness in my chest grow worse. I'm starting to feel like I'm suffocating in this house, in this life that's no longer mine. I'm sorry, she says again, her voice barely audible. I look at her then, really look at her, and I see the fear in her eyes. But I'm beyond the point of caring about her fear. I'm not even sure what I feel anymore. Hurt? Betrayal? Maybe just numb. I can't keep doing this, I finally say, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. I don't know what I want, but I know I can't just pretend everything's fine. It's not. Rachel nods, wiping her eyes. She looks so broken, but I don't know how to fix her, and I don't even know if I want to. This is the consequence of her actions, and no amount of apologies will make it better. I think we need some space, I say quietly, because I don't want to make any rash decisions yet, but I can't live like this anymore. I understand, she whispers. I'll give you all the space you need. And with that, the room falls silent again, but this time, I feel the weight of the decision settling in. The next few days are a blur. I move through them in a haze, doing the bare minimum to get by. Work, errands, eating, each task feels mechanical, like I'm running on autopilot. Rachel and I barely speak, and when we do, it's only about logistics. She's been sleeping in the guest room, giving me the space I asked for, but every night, I hear her crying through the walls. It's almost worse than when she was here, next to me, pretending everything was fine. At least then, I could look her in the eyes and feel like we were in it together. But now? Now, I don't know who we are. I don't know who I am anymore. I start avoiding home as much as I can. I spend longer hours at work, I go to the gym more than I ever did before. Anything to not be alone with my thoughts. I can't stand being in the house where everything was normal before. It's like living in a museum of a life that doesn't exist anymore. I get a few messages from Rachel, but I don't respond. She's sorry, she's heartbroken, she wants to make things right. But nothing she says can change what happened. I keep telling myself I'm doing the right thing by staying away. That I need time to figure out who I am without her. Without us. But then, on the fourth night, I get a call. It's from Adam. Hey man, you good? He asks, his voice concerned. I don't know, I answer honestly. I don't know anything anymore. You want to talk about it? He asks, but there's a hesitation in his voice. He knows I'm not ready to dive into the details. Not really, I admit. I just need to be alone right now. I get that, man. But just remember, you don't have to go through this alone. I'm here. His words hit me harder than I expect. I don't know if I'm ready to lean on anyone yet, but just knowing he's there, that I'm not completely isolated, gives me a small sense of relief. Thanks, man, I say, though I don't know what for. But it feels good to hear someone care, even if I'm not ready to let them in. That night, I finally reach out to Rachel. I don't know why, but something inside me tells me I need to say something, anything. I text her, we need to talk. And just like that, the ball starts rolling again. I don't know what I expected when I sent that text. Part of me thought she'd ignore it, that I'd never hear from her again. But instead, she responds almost immediately. Okay. When? I can't put it off any longer, so I suggest we meet at a cafe down the street. Somewhere neutral. Somewhere public where I won't feel like I'm drowning in the weight of our history. I don't want to have this conversation at home. Not yet. When I arrive, she's already sitting at a table by the window, looking smaller than I remember. The woman sitting there doesn't look like the person I've spent years with. Her posture is tense, her hands clasped tightly in front of her like she's trying to hold herself together. She looks at me when I walk in, and there's that same guilt in her eyes. But now, it's mixed with something else, desperation. I sit down across from her, not saying anything at first. I can't speak. I don't know where to start, what to say. So, we just sit there in silence for a moment, the weight of everything hanging between us. Rachel clears her throat. I just want you to know I am truly, deeply sorry for what I've done. I know I've broken everything, and I'll spend the rest of my life feeling like I don't deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know, it was never about you. It wasn't about us. I was the problem. I wasn't thinking straight, and I let myself get lost. I nod slowly, trying to keep my emotions in check. I want to hear her out, but every word she says feels like a stab to the chest. I know that doesn't make it better, she continues, but I need you to know that this isn't who I am. It wasn't me, it was something broken inside of me. Something I didn't know how to fix. And I'm so sorry. I can see she means it. I can see that this isn't just guilt. It's remorse. Real remorse. But it doesn't matter. None of it can undo what she did. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about any of this. I don't know if I can just forgive you. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again. She nods, looking down, tears welling up again. I don't expect you to forgive me, not now. I want to tell you the truth, and I want you to know how sorry I am for everything I did. I sit back in my chair, rubbing my face. It feels like I'm drowning in words I don't want to hear but can't stop listening to. I want to tell her I hate her. I want to tell her to leave. But part of me can't. Maybe it's because I still love her, maybe it's because I need closure. I don't know. I need time, I say quietly. I need time to think about all of this. I can't make any decisions right now. I can't even figure out who I am in all of this. She nods again, wiping her eyes. I understand. I'll give you whatever space you need. I'll be here when you're ready, if you ever are. And just like that, we leave the cafe, and I'm once again standing at the edge of a cliff, trying to figure out what the hell to do next. The next few days drag on like they're made of lead. I don't feel any different after that conversation at the cafe. If anything, it's like I've learned nothing new. She's sorry, she didn't mean to hurt me, and she'll be there if I ever decide to come back. But it doesn't change the fact that my world has been turned upside down. Nothing she says can fill that hole in my chest. I spend my days pretending everything is normal, going through the motions, but the truth is, I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm carrying the weight of everything on my shoulders, and every time I look at Rachel, I see the cracks in the foundation that used to be our life. I don't know if I want to fix it. I don't know if I can. And that's the hardest part. The not knowing. Rachel texts me a few times, but I don't respond. I'm not ready to talk to her yet. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. She's been patient, but I know it's killing her. I see it in the way she looks at me when we're in the same room, like she's waiting for me to say the magic words that will make everything okay again. But I can't give her that. Not yet. I'm not even sure what I want. Part of me wants to walk away, to pack my bags and never look back. To reclaim some part of myself that's been buried under this mess. But then I think about the years we've spent together, the memories that still linger like ghosts. I think about the good times, the laughter, the connection we once had. And I wonder if that's worth fighting for. It's a question I can't answer. Not yet. I find myself spending more time with Adam. He's been a godsend during all of this, even though I haven't been the easiest person to talk to. He knows how to listen without judging, and that's exactly what I need right now. He pulls me aside one evening after a long conversation about work, and asks me point blank, "What are you going to do, man? Are you going to try to make it work, or are you done?" I don't have an answer. Not yet. I tell him as much. "I'm not gonna lie to you," he says, "I can't tell you what the right choice is. But you can't just keep dragging this out. Eventually, you'll have to decide. And whatever you choose, I've got your back." It's the first time in days that I've felt any sort of clarity. The choice is mine. It's always been mine. And while I don't have the answers right now, I know I need to figure them out soon. This waiting, this limbo, isn't healthy for either of us. But for now, I keep waiting. Because I still don't know which direction to go. It's been a week since that conversation with Adam, and I feel like I'm walking in circles. I can't escape the weight of this decision, and the longer I wait, the more it feels like I'm suffocating. Rachel and I are still living in the same house, but it's like we're in separate worlds. She stays in her room, and I stay in mine, only crossing paths when absolutely necessary. The silence between us is deafening, but I don't know how to fix it. I'm sitting on the couch one night, scrolling through my phone aimlessly when I hear her voice behind me. "Can we talk?" I turn around, and there she is, standing in the doorway. Her hair is messy, her eyes tired, but there's something in her expression, something that tells me this conversation will be different. I don't say anything at first. I just nod. She takes a deep breath, walking slowly toward me. "I've been thinking a lot. About us. About everything. And I know I can't change what I did, but I want to make things right. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to rebuild trust, if you'll give me the chance." I feel a lump in my throat. It's not anger that rises in me this time. It's exhaustion. I'm tired of the pain. I'm tired of feeling torn between wanting to fix things and wanting to walk away from it all. But then, something clicks in my head. Maybe it's because I've spent the last week avoiding the inevitable. Maybe it's because I've been so caught up in the idea of the perfect resolution, I forgot the most important thing: do I still want her? That's the question I need to answer. It's not about the affair, not really. It's about us. About who we are now, after everything that's happened. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I say, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know if I can ever trust you again. But I'm willing to try. I need time, and I need space to figure out what I want. But I think we need to talk about what happens next, whether we're going to move forward together or apart." Her eyes well up with tears, but she doesn't say anything. She just nods, sitting down beside me. For the first time in days, I feel like I'm not drowning. Like there's at least a chance for us to figure this out. We don't have all the answers, and maybe we never will. But for the first time since I found out, I feel like I'm not carrying the burden alone. "I'll wait," she says, her voice quiet but firm. "I'll wait for you to decide. And I'll do whatever it takes to show you that I'm sorry." I nod, though I still don't have the answers. But in that moment, I realize something important: I'm not ready to give up yet. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm willing to try. Maybe that's enough for now. Maybe. The next few weeks are a slow process. We're still living together, but we've agreed on ground rules. No more pretending. No more acting like nothing happened. We talk more, but only when we're ready. I start seeing a therapist, just to help me navigate this mess. Rachel starts therapy too. I think part of me wants to see if she's actually committed to doing the work. Maybe I want to be sure she's not just saying the words. I'm still not sure if I can trust her, and part of me wonders if I ever will. I don't know if I'll ever feel like the man I was before all of this. But I can't keep punishing myself, and I can't keep dragging us both through the mud without making some sort of decision. There are moments, small ones, when it feels like we're starting to rebuild. Like we're trying to move forward. She'll make me coffee in the morning, the way I like it, and I'll actually enjoy it. We'll sit together at dinner, and instead of the awkward silence, there's real conversation. It's not perfect, but it's a start. But then there are days when I wake up, and the weight of everything crashes down on me all over again. I'll be driving to work, and I'll think about the time we spent apart during her affair, the late nights she was working, the distance that I ignored. And that pain comes flooding back, raw and fresh, even though I thought I was past it. Rachel, for her part, is doing everything she can to prove she's worthy of my trust again. She's open, vulnerable, and for the first time in a long time, she's present. I don't think she knows what to expect, either. She's trying, but she knows she can't undo the past. She's not the same person I married, and neither am I. We have hard conversations. There are nights when we fight, when the anger resurfaces. There are nights when I want to throw in the towel and walk away from it all. But I don't. We both stay. And we keep talking. And I start to realize something. Healing doesn't mean going back to what we had before. It doesn't mean pretending things are the same. It means figuring out who we are now, after all the damage, and whether we can build something new from the ashes of what was. It's not easy. It's messy. But it's real. And that, at least, gives me some hope. I don't know where we're headed, or if we'll make it. But I know this, I'm not ready to give up. Not yet. Not while we're both still fighting for it. For now, that's enough. Part 15, A New Beginning. Months pass. Time has a funny way of healing things, or at least, of giving you perspective. Rachel and I aren't perfect. We're still learning how to trust each other again, how to rebuild what we lost. But we're both trying. And that effort, more than any apology, means something. I've learned that forgiveness isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process, and it takes time. There are days when I still feel angry, when the weight of the betrayal hits me hard, but I've realized that forgiveness doesn't mean erasing what happened. It means deciding that I'm not going to let it define me, or our future. We've started to talk about the future, tentatively. Maybe we'll travel, or maybe we'll just take it one day at a time. I don't have all the answers yet. But for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with not having everything figured out. So, here's my advice to anyone who might find themselves in a similar situation: you don't have to make a decision right away. Take the time you need. Feel everything you need to feel. But also, don't get stuck in the past. You can't fix what's broken if you're still holding on to it. And above all else, remember this: it's okay to walk away if that's what's right for you. But it's also okay to try again. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. And sometimes, that's enough. It looks like we've reached the end of the story. The conclusion wraps everything up, offering a moment of reflection and an emotional journey of recovery and self-discovery. If you're interested in exploring more, whether it's diving deeper into the emotional journey, adding more layers to the characters, or even taking the story in a different direction, feel free to let me know. I'm here to help expand on anything you like.